Okay, Dave, we do like a bit of honesty in these interviews, and your manager, Caroline, and lovely wife said you deal with it badly. So that's like everybody else that's watching this, probably.
Thanks, love.
Right then, so paddock watching.
Yes.
You mentioned in the beginning that you watch, you write paddock notes for the mysterious sounding Blue Delta. I mean, what sort of information do you tell them, and how useful to them is it?
Yeah, well, Blue Delta, the name of the company. I think it's called Betting School is the actual sort of company, the fronting, as it were, if bettingschool.com, and they've got various tipping services and whatnot under that umbrella. And what I started doing was putting. Well, I was sort of doing it about 18 months ago for a different company, and it didn't quite work out with them. And I thought there was something in it. I've been, since I've been going racing, really, it's been something that I was very interested in, but didn't really know how to do. And back in the day at Southall, we used to have there used to be a very good paddock watcher there called Alison, who I think she's still on Twitter as Paddock Pick. She's an excellent paddock watcher. She would literally just go down there with a sheet of paper, blank sheet of paper, didn't look at a race card, didn't look at form, blank sheet of paper, if there are 8 runners, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and she'd write by the side of it, each one, what she thought of each horse. And I used to watch her doing it and sort of learn from her, really, the best ways of paddock watching and what to look for and that sort of thing. So we started doing my own paddock notes a while ago, and then Blue Delta sort of became quite interested in maybe putting it out there to people as a service if they want to read my notes, what I've written about each horse at a certain meeting, which I do at virtually every meeting these days anyway. Every meeting I go to, even if it's just a quiet midweek meeting, there'll be something there of interest, generally speaking. You get more benefit maybe from it early season when you see horses that aren't fit having their first or their second run of the season, that sort of thing. But equally, for novice hurdles, you can pick out horses for the future that you think will be winning shortly once they go handicapping, that sort of thing. And it's something that I enjoy doing. It's become part of the punting pointers armoury as well now. Going back to sort of part one, you said, what do you look for when you're looking at a race? Equally, I'm looking for horses that I've seen in the flesh, and I thought, well, that'll definitely come forward for a run, or I want to be with that next time when it goes handicapping, because a lot of times at the races you see things that the cameras miss, and I don't just mean in the paddock, I mean in the race itself. They're watching the ones up front, and the camera focuses in on the front 2 or 3 as they're battling out. I'm sometimes watching what's happening in behind as well, and you can often see a horse that's been tailed off halfway down the back, actually finishing off quite well into sort of 5th, 6th, and you think, oh, well, that's quite interesting. That's hit the line quite hard, wants to step up in trip, go handicapping, and that's worked a couple of times, 2 or 3 times for us well this season. So,
okay, for people like me that don't have a clue about horses in the paddock, just give us a real layman's negatives and positives to look for.
I think fitness is the main thing that you look for. Now, this stage of the season, most of them are fit because they've usually had a few runs. As I say, early season, that's a different thing.
How do you tell if something's fit though? Well, not fit is more likely.
Yeah, I think not fit. You're looking for muscle definition around the sort of middle neck areas, around its belly. You're looking for some rib cage, but not too much. You need some evidence that it's fit. At the back of the horse, at the rear, sort of, looking for good definition, muscle definition, that sort of thing. Those sort of things tell you whether it's in good shape or not. And if they're lacking any of that, then generally speaking, they'll be needing a run or two. I have got that badly wrong a couple of times this season. I laid, what was the name of the horse? Oh, Neil King's horse, Look Away. It's a huge beast of a horse, and the first time I saw it at Cheltenham, I thought, well, that's nowhere near fit. And it absolutely destroyed them. It romped home, and I went and laid it for a few quid. So that was costly. But at least I know then, the next time I see the horse, and it looks like that, it's not unfit. And again, this is all sort of part and parcel of looking at a horse and going, right, okay, well, I know that's fit now. So next time I see it and it looks like that, that's fine. And so, of course, the next time I saw Look Away and it looked exactly the same, I thought, okay, fine, don't fall into the same trap again. It is fit. And, of course, it ran really well again. So
I suppose, and if that happens and you see it again and it looks fit, then you got the double.
Correct. And you know, a lot of people might have looked at that, and if they've never seen those before, go, I don't think that's fit. Well, you know it's fit because you've already seen it before in the same conditions. So.
Would this all be in your head, or do you like take photographs or anything like that?
I don't take photos. Everything goes down as notes, though. I do sort of, you know, put notes down for every horse that's of interest in a race. Yeah, afterwards, usually day after or the day after that. So within 48 hours.
But for meetings that you can't get to. Don't you feel a bit blind? Yes,
a little bit. Yeah, it'd be great if, I mean, at least living in the Midlands, it gives me options to go north and south for meetings, and as Caroline will testify, quite often I'll pick a couple of meetings maybe down south. I know in middle of February there's like a Fontwell and a Sandown together that I'm coming down for and staying down. I will try and get around the country and see as many as I can. It's not easy, you know, but I do what I can. Yeah, when you don't get to a meeting, you sometimes. So when you get to Cheltenham, for example, when we get to the festival, I won't have seen the Irish horses, but they'll all be fit anyway. They should all be race fit anyway. If you're turning up at the festival and you're not race fit, then you know something's not right.
Yeah. No, you mentioned that you were inspired by the lady that used to.
Alison.
Yeah. Did she actually give you the eye and teach you how to? What you're looking for?
Just sort of, in a way, yeah. She was sort of, because I'd say to her, she spotted things that you wouldn't even dream of looking for, and yeah, she told me what to look for, yeah. And then from there, I mean, she doesn't come racing anymore, which is a real shame. It'd be great to see her back again, but she did very much sort of teach me what to look for.
And now you're punting. How long have you been a winning punter?
Not long. 3 or 4 years since I started doing it properly, really, I suppose, is the honest answer. I was a casual punter before then. I enjoyed punting, but it was one of the other bookmakers. He said to me, he says, you pick some really good price winners out, he says, but you don't make the most of it. And that sort of set me thinking. I thought, yeah, I probably do have too many bets, and you got to home in a bit more on. You know, when you really like one and you know the price is, when you know the price is wrong, that's when you should really sort of step in. And it doesn't matter whether it's a 20-to-1 shot or a 3-to-1 shot. If you know the price is wrong, that's when you should step in and get involved, I think. So,
I've heard people say in the past that they learnt how to bet. Would you say that's what the difference was?
Yeah, I'd say exactly that. Yeah, you learn through experience, don't you? You know, it doesn't matter how you learn. I mean, I was placing bets when I was sort of 16 years old and going into the local independent bookies and whatnot, you know. I just got told to take my school tie off back in those days. Just take your tie and blazer off, Dave, you know, sort of thing. So, and I remember one of the first jobs I ever had, as we'll touch on in a bit. I was back in the day, I was on a YTS. Remember those, the youth training scheme back in the 1980s. I was in the Prince's on a £26.50 a week, of which 15 quid went to my mum for board. So it left me with £11.50 a week. I remember really fancying one at Devon and Exeter because it had broken the track record. Devon and Exeter, now we're going back. It had broken the track record the time before, and I thought, oh, this must be a good horse. This must be a great horse. It's broke the track record. And I had, of the £11.50, I had a tenner of it at 7-to-4, and it got stuffed. And then, of course, you realise that it's running on different ground. You know, it's broken the track record because it was racing on bone hard ground, and this time it's good to soft, and it couldn't handle the conditions. And then you live and learn. That's how you learn these things. You think, oh, don't do that again. And that's always stuck with me, that one. You know, these things stick with you. You think, oh, don't do that again. Don't do that again. Don't do that. And eventually you learn you build up a list of do's and don'ts, and you teach yourself, I suppose, as you say.
Yeah, when we were corresponding before we did this, I was quite surprised that you're relatively late sort of into the game professionally, because for me, you seem to have been around forever. I've recognised your face.
Do I? I'm not that old.
But just go back to the beginning. I mean, you tell me you loved maths at school.
I did.
Yeah, that was that's quite unusual for a kid to love maths.
I always loved maths. Always loved numbers. Always loved maths. And my son has developed the same. My son has developed the same love of numbers. He's in the computer science at the moment. He's at Manchester Uni in his last year doing computer sciences. Yeah, maths was up, and we'll go again. I passed my maths O level a year early. I did. Was it 2 years early? It might have been 2 years early. But numbers just came very easily to me. Hated English, hated French, hated pretty much everything else at school. But math lessons. I had a good teacher as well, in a guy called Mr. Kinsey, who was a lovely guy and a big Derby County fan like myself. And I think he liked a bit of racing as well. I know there was a time when one got round. There was one got round school. Used to be an old novice chaser, I think Fred Winter, and it called Drummer Downey, and it was in the Reynoldstown when the Reynoldstown used to be midweek at Ascot. I think it used to be on the Wednesday or the Thursday, something like that. And I really fancied it, and I'd sort of told a few of the kids at school, I think this will win. And of course, the dinner money was flying in on it, and I was taking it all down. And then we got a maths lesson. I think maths was just before lunch, and Mr. Kinsey sidled up to the side of me and he says, "Word has it, you've got one at Ascot this afternoon, Massey," he says. And I said, "Yeah." I think Drummer Downey will win, sir. I think it'll win. I said, Do you? He says, "Well, okay." And he says, "If Drummer Downey wins," he says, "I won't dish out any homework," he says, "on Friday." So of course, I was the most popular kid in school for about 3 days. For about 3 days after that, it was great. Yeah. So I had a good teacher and enjoyed the subject anyway. So.
Now, would maths be more helpful as a bookmaker or a punter?
I suppose as a bookmaker, but I think you've got to know some maths as a punter as well. You could probably get away with that, not knowing maths as a punter. I mean, I know a lot of different types of punter. I know some punters that don't go anywhere near a paddock, for example, and they still win at the game. And I know punters who will just back winners is their motto. Don't matter about the price. Oh, that'll win. I'll back that. And there are different types of punters, so I don't think you need to necessarily. I mean, for me personally, yes, I think it's important, but you don't have to, I suppose. As a bookmaker, I think you certainly had to know your maths. Again, these days, everything's so computerised, after it's done for you, but you still got to know your maths, I think.
Is there a maths angle for you when you're deciphering a race?
Only in so much as... good question. Only in so much as the prices I would have said. But yeah, I suppose, look, all the things like... I mean, pace is maths. You're looking at when you're looking at things like that. I mean, that's maths to an extent, and how fast can a horse go, and can it sustain the gallop for 6 furlongs or whatever if that's the length of the race. So there is maths involved. Yeah, I think a lot of people that are involved and punters were racing. I bet if you asked them, they'd say they were good at maths at school. Yeah.
And would you say? I mean, I've seen the GGs. It baffles me of all the information that's on there. Yeah. Is there too much information? Sometimes you can complicate yourself into a stew.
It's a funny thing because I've said this to Caroline before, and she'll testify. There are times when you wonder how our forefathers ever backed a winner, because they didn't have all this information at their fingertips, and some of them were still successful. But yeah, I think as things have evolved, I mean, all-weather racing. I think all-weather racing is a key element of using data, because generally speaking, not all the time, but generally speaking, you're talking about a consistent surface that doesn't change. So that's a big variable taken out of things. It can change from meeting to meeting, if it's rained heavily or whatever, and it's quickened the surface up. But generally speaking, you're dealing with a consistent surface. So, you're looking for horses that have dealt with that surface in the past, and have they got their same conditions today? Yesterday was a perfect example. We put one up at Newcastle last night that we know acted well on the surface and had the change of headgear, which is that was the key thing with the horse. Whenever it has a change of headgear, it always runs well. Change of headgear last night, and it got beaten nose. So you've got those variables in place, and you've got patterns. I think that's probably what I'm trying. Those same patterns. You're looking for a pattern with these horses, and once that pattern evolves and comes around again, then that's the time to back the horse.
I just want to, for the final bit of this part, I just want to go back to the pricing. So you've priced one up, you've had it 9-2 chance.
Yeah.
It's gone off a well-backed 2-1 favourite and
yep.
went off the track.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you were wrong. Would you say you were wrong with your pricing? So you missed the winner because you priced it wrong, or were there other elements that came into play that made it a lot shorter than it should have been?
Yeah, it can be 6 of one, half dozen the other, I think. Yeah, sometimes I'll get it wrong, and sometimes it can be other elements on the day that change things. I think it's part and parcel. I think if you miss a winner, you miss a winner, and you just have to do the best you can and accept that you've got it wrong, and for whatever reason. Sometimes, I mean, there are other variables at play. You can just have sheer bad luck. You've got everything right. You've selected the correct horse. The price is right, and then it finds itself in a pocket a furlong out, can't get out. By the time it's got out and sprinted aim, you've got beat half a length. And then the telly gets it. That's when the telly gets it. and we need to ring up Curry's and get a new telly because that one's gone over, that sort of thing. But it is, so there's so many variables that can affect something. Taking them in your stride isn't always easy, but you just have to accept it.